We are blessed to be gathered here once again for the sixth session of HERA, HALQA-E-RUMI-O-IQBAL, Iqbal and Rumi Circle. Today's topic is very interesting, profound, and quite frankly, deserving of several sessions. I'll try to make it simple and to the point so that everybody can get something out of it today, and still there will be enough thirst left so that you will want more, because you really want to get into the subject and see how profound this subject is and how it impacts our daily lives. The subject basically is in Urdu, Aql-o-Dil. In Urdu, there's a poem of Iqbal that says Aql-o-Dil. So I have sent that on email to those who were on the mailing list. And we will use that as the topic. Intellect and your heart. Faith and reason. Ishq or dil. Ishq or ilm. In other words, this topic deals with how your intellect guides you in your life and how your heart can guide you in your life. Are these two things compatible with each other? Can they work together, or are they antithesis to each other? In other words, is reasoning important in life? Is faith important in life? Which one has more impact in your life? And what is the purpose of each one of these? I use this first verse from Iqbal in Urdu, and I'll translate it. Ye aql-o-dil hai sharar, शोलाए मोहब्बत के, वो खारो खस के लिए है या नेस्तां के लिए. This intellect and your heart, these are the sparks of the flame of divine love. One of them is for this world, kharo khas, khar is thorns, khas is the dirt, ye nestan ke liye, and the heart is for the world that is unseen, world beyond our vision, world that is la makan, and a place where material existence does not matter or does not exist. So, if you remember, the message behind this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to manifest himself. He wanted to be known, so he created the world. Now, obviously, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was alone and he had not created any of this, nobody would know that a creator exists. So he had to create the world. Now, after creating the world, he had a system whereby he wanted people to be able to introduce his being to each other and to the rest of the creation. And he created man, to make it simple and brief. Now the man was given something that other creation before him did not have, and that was the choice. He had the ability to choose right from wrong. Prior to that, the creation that was there, most of them did not really have that option. They were created for a certain purpose, that they did what they were supposed to do, and that basically was it. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created man, he made it in the best of images, best of shape, in the best of his creation. And what makes the man best is basically these two things, these two elements. One of them is what deals with this world, and that's his aql, that's his hirad, that's his knowledge. And the other thing is the heart, not the heart that is hanging in our chest that pumps the blood. There is something other than that that is contained in our chest that may have some relationship to this physical heart, but it's really not just that, it's more than that. And that heart has a spark within it that comes from a different world. That is not material, that is spiritual. You cannot see it. Our body cannot see our soul, and our soul is really from a different world, and it cannot be nourished from what we eat. It has to be nourished by something like this that we are going to talk about. It has to be given the food from that world, a message from there, talk about the Creator, talk about His creation and the purpose of our life. So basically, we have a spirit within us that is from a different world, and we have this physical body that is carrying it. So that is the summary of this page that I gave you. Now, if we were to take it in a simple way, that poem that has few lines that I sent to everyone, if we use that for our discussion today, then I think we will start getting the message as to what we are going to talk about today. Let's see, where do I have it? Here. I'll read it in Urdu because this is in Urdu. Is there anybody that does not understand Urdu at all? How about you? You understand Urdu? Some, okay. Or you understand Urdu?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. अक्ल ने एक दिन ये दिल से कहा, भूले भटके की रहनुमा हूं मैं. The intelligence or intellect said to the heart one day, I am the guide to those that are misguided or astray, who are off the course. I can guide them. Intelligence said that to the heart. They are talking to each other now. Heart and Iqbal used this beautifully. The way he has brought the subject out in these few lines is amazing. अक्ल ने एक दिन ये दिल से कहा, भूले भटके की रहनुमा हूं मैं, हूं ज़मीं पर, गुजर फलक पे मेरा. I live on in this earth, but I actually travel the skies. देख तो किस कदर रसा हूं मैं. Just see how much approachable I am, how far I have my approach, how far can I reach. देख तो किस कदर रसा हूं मैं, how high can I reach. काम दुनिया में राहबरी है मेरा. My job in the world is to guide people. मिसले मिसले खिज़र खजस्ता पा हूं मैं. Like Khidr alayhi salam, I am always, walking around on my feet, traveling. दिल ने सुनकर कहा, बूंद खून की है तू, लेकिन गैरते लाले बेबहा हूं मैं. You are just a drop of blood, basically. That's what you are, oh my dear heart. गैरते लाले बेबहा हूं मैं. I am the envy of the most precious pearls and stones. लाल, हीरे. दिल ने सुनकर कहा, ये सब सच है. The heart heard all of this and he said, all of this is true. पर मुझे भी तो देख, क्या हूं मैं? But look at me also and see who I am. राज़े हस्ती को तू समझती है. Yes, you understand the secret of the world, secret of the Creator. और आंखों से देखता हूं मैं. You only understand the secrets of the world and I actually observe them. I see them. है तुझे वास्ता मुजाहिर से. You deal with the appearance of things. Whatever is out there, you deal only with that. और बातिन से आशना हूं मैं. And I know what is contained in those packages. You only see the lifafa. I see the letter inside. You only see the packaging. I see what is contained in that package. इल्म तुझसे तो मारफत मुझसे. You give information. I give recognition. You give them that this is a box. I tell them this is a box made out of this, is contained that, it has these properties. I know the secrets of that thing, but you can only see the material world. इल्म तुझसे तो मारफत मुझसे. तू खुदा जू, खुदा नुमा हूं मैं. You are looking for God, looking for Creator, and I am the one that can take you there. इल्म की इंतहा है बेताबी. Knowledge continues to ask for more and it's always restless to know more because it knows it will prove itself wrong tomorrow. Ilm always continues to increase. Knowledge always continues to increase. What we know today, we did not know 500 years ago or 5 years ago or even 5 days ago. इल्म की इंतहा है बेताबी. इस मरज की मगर दवा हूं मैं. but I am the cure for this ailment. I am actually the treatment for this sickness. Shammatu mehfile sadakat ki. If there is a gathering of people that are talking about the truth, you are only a lamp in that gathering. Husn ki bazm ka diya hu main. I am the lamp in a gathering of beauty, charm. I am the real light in very adored, very adorable, very beautiful things. Tu zamano makan se rishta bapa. This is beautiful. Tu zamano makan se rishta bapa. Rishta bapa is somebody whose feet are tied. If you have an animal and you tie the feet, with a chain to the ground, that can only go here and there, but not beyond. That is what he means. You are tied up to zaman and makan, to the time and space. You are basically dealing with this, that is the world, which is actually the physical being and the time. Taire sidra ashnahu mein. I am the bird that knows the throne of the Most High. I have been to Sidra Muntaha and beyond. I recognize that and I am aware of the existence of those places. Kis balandi pe hai maqam mera, arsh rabbe jaleel ka hu main. You want to know how elevated my status is? He tells to the intelligence, I am where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sits. Arsh hu main uska. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lives in me. If you remember when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's mentioned that when he wanted to give himself and find a place for himself, he wanted to give a nema, give a gift to the creation and to the mountains and this and that, and they all turned it down. They said, we are not capable of handling it. And the man's heart stood up and said, okay, I'll contain you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took that and he lives in the heart. So in this poem, although I went over it fairly quickly, if you see the actual message behind all of this is that we may or may not be aware of the fact that each one of us, regardless of one's faith, belief system, or where you were born and how old were you and this and that, all of us humans basically have seed of God in our heart. Now the question is, does everybody know that? Does everybody believe in it? Does everybody realize and benefit from all of that? The answer is no. And those who call themselves believers, like many of us would, even we may not actually be comprehending as to what is the relationship that we have, what are the abilities that we have that we can actually manifest in our lives if we only nurture our soul, if we only spiritually elevate ourselves, and if we only really shine within our hearts and cleanse our hearts to the point where they can actually reflect the light from beyond. That is the gist, simplified gist of basically the message that is contained in this nazm. Now, obviously, things are not as simple. Now, let me give you a parable here, a story, and then I'll make some points in that, because no session like this can be complete without a parable, without a story. Aurangzeb Alamgir, he had the habit of having these cabinet meetings and open meetings for public and all that. So he had a big meeting. Darbaris were sitting there in hundreds. There were some real religious scholars. There were some ordinary people, his ministers and all that. And he's having this gathering and he says, is anyone here that make me meet Khidr al-Islam? I want to meet Khidr al-Islam. Can anybody really have me meet Khidr al-Islam? Have you read this story already? Okay, but let me just go through this story anyway. So everybody looks at everybody else. There were people there, Awliya Allah, Abdal, Qutab, very rich people, and they just basically looking around, and then this poor little man somewhere out of nowhere comes up and says, I can do it. He says, you can do it? He says, yes, I can do that. Give me 6 months. I will have to really do chilla for 6 months at the bank of the river. And once I'm finished with that, I'll be able to have you face to face with Khidr. So Aurangzeb says, you're on. So they give him 6 months. He says, but there is a catch, and that is that I have kids and I have a wife, and if I'm out there, they have to be fed. He says, no problem, we will take care of them. So Aurangzeb arranges for these people to be fed. 6 months go by. 6 months later, the darbar is again set. All those people are there, some more maybe. And then the man comes in, and after 6 months, and Aurangzeb says, okay, but let's see what you got. He says, well, there was a mistake I made somewhere along the way, and I may have to do 6 months more because something went wrong, and I may have to do 6 months. They had said, okay, well, we'll have to do that. So they sustained his family for 6 more months, and then he went for Chilla. And then after that, now a year has gone by, and he comes back, and he says, okay, now, did you arrange for Khidr alayhi salam? I want to meet him. He says, Your Highness, this poor man and Khidr alayhi salam, how could I do that? I was so desperate and destitute, I needed some help for my family, and you were kind enough to offer that, but there is no way I can produce Khidr alayhi salam. Actually, I made up the story to feed my family. Aurangzeb was infuriated. So were his ministers everywhere. You lied to the king. How dare you do that? He should be punished. Aurangzeb says, but can tell me what punishment he should have? One of his ministers said that he should be cut his throat and drag him in the majlis and then drag him in the streets. That's what you should do with him, because he had actually lied and he's just admitting his guilt. And there was a very pious looking man with a Nurani face. He says, well, minister is right. Minister is right. So now Aurangzeb asks another minister, what do you think? He says, I think just cutting his head off will be too easy on him, because he has actually done a tremendous big crime, and he should be punished more. He should be first thrown to the dogs, and then when he is near death, then we will take his head off and do this and that. And that man with the Nurani chair sitting in the corner, he says, minister is right. He is right. Now, Aurangzeb, as he was, he asks Ayaz, Mahmud Alamgir now asks Ayaz, his favorite counsel and disciple. He says, Ayaz, what do you feel? Ayaz gets up and he says, from what I see, the man was poor and he needed to sustain his family, and you, Your Highness, were able to afford that. You fed this family for a year and you did a good deed for him. And nothing is taken away from you, and he's honest, and he's telling you that he cannot deliver it. I think we should forgive him. Everybody looks at Ayaz. And then Nurani chair of man that's sitting in the corner, he says, Ayaz is right. Now, Mahmud Ghaznavi now is really, I was giving Aurangzeb, Mahmud Ghaznavi. Now he's really curious about this man with a Nurani chair. He keeps saying that everybody's right. The first minister said do this and he's right. Now he turns to that man that looks very pious and he says, how come the first minister is also right, the second minister is also right, and Ayaz is also right? What's going on here? Am I missing something? He said, the first minister is a qasab, is a butcher. And that's all he knows. And when he saw something apparently looked like a crime, he said, cut his head, just like he does every day. The problem is not with the minister, problem is with you, that you had somebody like that as your minister. What about the second one? He says the second one used to train the dogs of a king and used to, do all kinds of dog fights and stuff. So he knows how to feed the dogs and throw things on the dogs. So he gave the best advice he could, being a dog catcher. So the problem is not his. Problem is actually yours, that you have a dog catcher as your minister. And he said, what about Ayaz? He said, Ayaz, and he looked at Ayaz and he says, should I? And he said, Ayaz looked at him and couldn't do anything. He says, Ayaz is a Sayyid Zada. And he comes from a noble family. And for him, sacrifice is the way of life. You sacrifice something for his family, and that's why he told you that forgive him, and that's what Sayyids do. And now he asks Ayaz, what do you have to say about that? You never told me that you were a Sayyid Zada. I thought you were an ordinary slave and I made you work and all this stuff. If I had known that, I would have given you a little different respect. He says, this was my secret, but that man over there, that Nurani Chehra man, has revealed my secret. I would never have told you this, but I am telling you this now because now I'm exposed. But that Nurani Chehra man is Khidr al-Islam. He is Khidr. And I have to tell that now because he told about me, and I'm going to tell you about him. Now, Khidr was all along there, and look, there are 50 lessons in this story. I could take the lessons just from Khidr's statements, what he was saying. I could take lessons from what Ayaz said, but you could take the lesson from the total story. And that lesson simplified for us is, we see things and we draw conclusions. Those are not necessarily the entire story. Stories may be hidden from us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still is a creator. Kullu yawmin huwa fi shan. He is in his creation all the time. He continuously to operate this world. All of this is running because of him. And he is making these things happen through his creation. Through us, believe it or not. Through people like me and you. Who knows who was born where, who came here when, who touches whose life, what they do during the day, and that person carries a message, and eventually something that is supposed to happen 10 years from today, its seeds are being sown today. And then this will happen, like this masjid had to be built here, transformed into, first it was a workshop, first it was a this and that, then somebody had to die, then the person had to sell it and all that, and the word of God had to come out of this place. And this minaret and gumbad that you see here, we think that we were able to really put it together, an architect did this for us and that for us. You never know. There may have been somebody that had to accept Islam. He happened to be living in the area, who knows. He may have stumbled into the mosque one day and may accept the message. But I'm saying it, I'm oversimplifying it, but what I'm saying is this is exactly what goes on in our lives also. What we may think right from wrong may not necessarily be so. We all know the story of Khidr al-Islam, when he actually damaged a boat, killed an innocent child, broke a wall and all that. Those things look as if you are doing something that is antisocial or outright either wrong or criminal in many eyes. And yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants that to happen that way. If you remember Musa alayhi salam, he had to run away from wherever he was because he had murdered somebody. Now unless he did that and leaves that basti and goes into wilderness and then gets onto Mount Tur, none of the stories that follow would have been real. So aql is your biggest dhoka. Your intellect, your brain, is basically something that continues sometimes to misguide you. You take it, and I'm going to use a few of the Iqbal verses now to translate what he means. Aql is okay for you to use this world and earn a living and make decisions that pertain to your physical being. But for your spiritual being, for your spiritual body, for your spiritual existence, and for your spiritual identity, which Iqbal calls Khudi, You need more than that. Aql is not enough. For that, you need ishq. For that, you need belief. For that, you need dil. खिरद के पास खबर के सिवा कुछ और नहीं. Intellect has nothing more than simple information. और तेरा इलाज नजर के सिवा कुछ और नहीं. The treatment for you, the remedy for you is actual vision. You should be able to observe, then you will see it. Otherwise, you see, in the story of Ayaz and Khizr, Ayaz knew all along that that's Khizr. Not only in that meeting, but prior meetings too. Wouldn't divulge it. Not supposed to. This is a secret. They have a certain way whereby that life goes on. And at a certain point, it had to be revealed. At a certain point, it became apparent that now this has culminated in that area, and then Khizr probably took another abode and went somewhere else to do whatever he had to do. Now, another couple of verses. अक्ल गो आस्तान से दूर नहीं, इसकी तकदीर में हुजूर नहीं. दिले बिना भी कर खुदा से तलब, आंख का नूर दिल का नूर नहीं. अक्ल गो आस्तान से दूर नहीं. Although your intellect is not far or remote from the house of the truth, इसकी तकदीर में हुजूर नहीं. It's not written its destiny to be face to face. Huzur is when you are hazir somewhere, when you are face to face. Ji huzuri means when you are standing in front of somebody and bowing your head down. That's ji huzur, being in huzur. Iski takdeer mein huzur nahi. It cannot be face to the truth. Dile bina bhi kar khuda se salam. Ask for a seeing heart. Ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you get a heart that can see. Aankh ka noor, dil ka noor nahi. This 2020 vision of your eyes is not the vision of your heart. तेरे सीने में दम है, दिल नहीं है. तेरा दम गर्मी महफिल नहीं है. You have the life within your chest, but that's not necessarily a live heart. तेरा दम गर्मी महफिल नहीं है. If you want to be relevant for this being, for the people around you, then don't count on your being alive only, just having dam, just having ability to breathe. You have to have a heart. गुजर जाओ तुझसे आगे कि ये नूर चिरागे राह है, मंजिल नहीं है. Move forward, keep going, go beyond your intellect. That's like that story you saw. Intellect is telling you something else, but no, that's not your stop. Move forward beyond whatever the intellect is telling you. Because what is intellect is only a lamp post along the way. You're going, but your destination is far down. The lamp post is right there, and there'll be another lamp post further down, but it's not able to go inside. Where you have to go, that's further, that's way, way beyond. Let me just finish this one little something, and then I think we will stop. Okay. Iqbal, in his very early age, when he was writing Bange Darar, he wrote these 2-3 verses are very good. खबर इकबाल की लाई है गुलिस्तान से नसीम, नौ गिरफ्तार फड़कता है तहे दाम अभी. खबर इकबाल की लाई है गुलिस्तान से नसीम. The breeze has just brought me a message about Iqbal from the garden. नौ गिरफ्तार, he has just been captured. फड़कता है तहे दाम अभी. He's just under the net. He's kind of flopping his wings. Now, these is his original days of poetry when he was getting infected with spirituality. He was really feeling there is something going on. And in the same verse, he goes up and he says, पुख्ता होती है अगर मसलहत अंदेश हो अक्ल, इश्क हो मसलहत अंदेश तो है खाम अभी. पुख्ता होती है अगर मसलहत अंदेश हो अक्ल. If your brain, if your intellect is thinking of right and wrong and thinking of good and bad and all that, then it gets stronger and stronger, mature and more mature. Ishq ho masliyat andesh to hai khamagi. But if your heart, if your love, compassion, if that starts to see what is right and wrong, I shouldn't say it, why should I say it? Two ministers said that he should be killed. Why should I say that he should be forgiven? If you think masliyat isme hai, that I should really not stick my neck out, if that is the case, then your ishq is incomplete. Your love, your faith inside within you is incomplete. And then the share, Bekhatar kood pada, atish namrood mein ishq, aql hai mawe tamashaye labe baam. Bekhatar kood pada, atish namrood mein ishq. Ishq just jumped into the fire made by Namrud, without worrying about anything. Bekhatar, didn't even care, he just jumped in. Aql hai mahve tamashaye labe baam abhi. This is Professor Sahab das suniye isko. On surface it looks very simple. Aql hai mahve tamashaye labe baam. Labe baam is the edge of the mudair. Okay? On the roof edge, you want to jump, you don't want to jump. If you're there, you're standing there. Just imagine that.
दहलीज कह देना.
हाँ?
दहलीज भी कह सकते.
दहलीज तो नीचे होती है ना. लबे बाम ऊपर. Ishq hai mahve. Aql is looking. Abhi means even today. Aql hai mahve tamashaye labe. Aql is still looking at the edge of the roof. Tamashaye labe baam, he's looking. Not tamasha jo hum Urdu mein kehte hain na, tamasha is circus. No. Tamasha is seeing it. Aql hai mahve tamasha. Aql abhi dekh rahi hai. Labe baam abhi. Looking at the edge, how tall it is, how high it is, should I land with my feet, should I land on my hands, how will I be left? So Aql would continue to do all of that. But ishq, when you really believe in something, then you simply go into it, and that is a stage that comes once your conviction, your heart really is so mature, your khudi is so mature, that you realize that nothing happens without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that He can make that fire into a rose garden and you can be saved. Nothing can take your life. So, this is a topic that cannot really finish with this session. I think every once in a while we'll be touching it back and forth, but I thought I should ignite this fire within you so that you realize that you and all of us have that potential to really do unbelievable things. Unbelievable things are within our power as human beings. But we sell ourselves short. We do not think we can do it, and then we live ordinary, mundane lives, and then hope that our nawafil and our namaz and all that will really take us across. That is not necessarily the way. If we feel that by our good actions and good deeds, probably we will have a better, way crossing Pul Sarat, good luck to us. But easier way would be to make friends with Him. See that He is there. Let your heart reflect His light. Connect like Bansuri does with that makes the sound in it, and it connects to the maker. So that sound that comes through you actually is coming from your Creator, and then you become one and the same. Like the man who was asked by Behlol one day that how do you feel? He says, how do I feel? How should a man feel by whose order the sun comes out, by whose order the waves are in the ocean, the breeze is coming with my orders, people walk here and there because of my orders and this and that, and I make things happen, I make the rain happen. He said, you do all of that? What are you talking about? He says, yes. Years ago, I made my will the same as will of God. So whatever He wants is exactly what I want. Now for me, my will and His will is the same. So I am always relaxed, and I know whatever is happening because of my will, because it's not different from His will. Simplified, yet it carries the message. We all have that potential as human beings, because within us is that spirit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when I made Adam, I breathed into him from my spirit. That spirit is common bond for humanity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us that vision so we can see it, and forgive us shortcomings and make us really complete individuals that we are supposed to be. Now time for questions. Go ahead.
अक्सर कुछ लोगों का ख्याल है कि ये सूफीज़म जो है ये बेअमली को फरोग देता है। सूफीज़म
अक्ल, ये अक्ल की बात कर रही है ना।
नहीं, ये जैसे लामा का सबसे इस बारे में आसान तरीन शेर ये है कि अच्छा है दिल के साथ रहे पासबान अक्ल, लेकिन कभी कभी इसी तन्हा भी छोड़ दे। तो इसमें कुछ बेअमली का या सूफीज़म
नहीं, इस शेर को अच्छी तरह से फिर डिसाइफर करें ना। अच्छा है,
दिल के पास रहे।
नहीं मैं पढ़ता हूँ इसको। अच्छा है दिल के पास रहे पासबान अक्ल, ठीक है, अच्छा है, it's okay that most of the time अक्ल should also stay closer to the heart so that they can work together in harmony. लेकिन कभी कभी ये हमारा ही पॉइंट कर रहा है, लेकिन कभी कभी इसे तन्हा भी छोड़ दे। You cannot tell the heart to do this. अक्ल should leave it alone. आपने मेरा पॉइंट प्रूव कर दिया। अच्छा है दिल के पास रहे पासबान अक्ल, लेकिन कभी कभी इसे तन्हा भी छोड़ दे। You have to leave it alone so that you do things that make no sense, but they are sensible things. जी
डॉक्टर साहब, जो पहली पोइम आप पढ़ रहे थे उसमें आपने कहा कि पोइट ये कह रहा है अल्लाह lives in me.
yes,
How do you reach that stage of ruhaniyat that you are able to say that God lives in you? At what point do you
don't
realize?
okay, you don't
that-
have to, no, good point, excellent point. You don't have to say it for Allah to live in you. He lives in you.
Right.
That's there. The question is, can you really realize that He's living in you? Can you connect? And for that, it's a whole lot of kind of concentration and zikr about Him. Think of Him. Bring your faith so strong that anything, whether things are good or bad, you say this is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and I am happy with it. You have to be always content. Tawakkal ala Allah should be complete. It should not be half-hearted or anything. It should be such that if any calamity befalls upon you, somebody called me yesterday, was having a little financial difficulty. He may have made some payment that the check bounced. And during the discussion it turns out that he feels that he's undergoing tremendous test. He's a man with conviction. He had changed drastically his business behavior and he's feeling the impact of it right now. But his faith, to the way he described to me, was so strong that he said, I'll endure it, Dr. Saab, don't worry about it. I will endure it because I know this is a test, that I will go through it. And he knows that he wants to be steadfast so that he can go through this and it's doable. So you know it eventually when it happens to you. Don't go to the point of Hallaj, when he started to say Anal Haq, I am God, I am Haq. And then the ordinary people around him cannot stomach that, so they had to punish him. But stand a little bit shy of that. Don't say that, but when you come to that stage, then you become invisible to the world, and you are now living in a different world altogether. And that's not something up high in the sky. That's real. That's happening even today. There are people like that today that actually have that. So we should not sell ourselves short. Okay, any other questions? Thank you so very much.